Donald Trump has waged war on Americans he calls the enemy from within, and then he threatened to fire a bunch of military high-ranked members if they decided to leave the room. He told them, you have the opportunity to leave, but if you do, you won't have a job anymore. After that, Pete Hegseth took the stage encouraging them to kill people when we're not at war. So who exactly are they going to kill, Pete Hegseth? Trump even said in his own words, we have to clean these cities, they're the enemies from within. If only they were in uniform, then you could at least shoot them, but they're not in uniform. He then made a direct threat to all the high-ranking officers in the room, saying, I fired the officers who were woke that I didn't like because they didn't please me, verbatim. Let's take a look at these videos.
Fantastic job. I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is very, don't laugh, you're not allowed to do that. You know what, just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank, there goes your future. But you just feel nice and loose, okay? Because we're all on the same team. And I was told that, sir, you won't hear a murmur in the room. I said, we got to loosen these guys up a little bit. So you just have a good time, but I want to thank...
I imagine this was similar to the speech Hitler gave. Feel free to leave the room, but if you leave the room, there goes your rank and your future. I demand complete allegiance and loyalty. And he reconfirms that in this video right here.
Say that. I say it. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have great leadership, and I'll tell you, Pete and General Kane, and all of the people that I've met that have been lifted up in rank. And we got many of them out of here, too, I'll be honest with you. Didn't like doing it, but we got many of you out of here because we weren't satisfied. We know everything about everybody.
Donald Trump is seizing total control of our military, and he's telling the highest ranking officials, if you do not do every single thing I say, the 10+ years you devoted to the military was all for nothing. I will get you out of here. Everything you worked for. So put your beliefs to the side and listen to me. We are on our way so fast to a dictatorship, and he is getting too comfortable saying these threats to these people. He is getting too comfortable saying exactly what he plans to do because he feels he has so much control that he's in a position to where he can't be impeached. And if he can't be impeached, guess who's running again in 2028? It's not JD Vance. It's definitely not Trump Jr. So you mean to tell me the person that dodged the military draft is now demanding loyalty from the military? The same military he called suckers and losers. I mean, here's Trump saying himself that he was going to fire generals.
Are you going to fire those generals? The woke generals at the top? Because you've been talking about it.
Yes, I would get rid of them, yeah. But see, now I know them. I didn't know them before. I came in, what do I know? I was a New York real estate person, but no, I'd fire them. I would fire them. You can't have woke military.
Do you know what it means to be woke? It's to be aware of what the government is doing. It's to be aware of what's going on around you. That is what woke originally meant before racists hijacked it and applied it to every single thing they don't like. That's because racists are too focused on hate to come up with their own words. All they know how to do is take because they are takers. So if you want to work for Donald Trump, congratulations. You don't need any credentials. Just tell him you'll do whatever he says and tell him you love him. Tell him he's doing a great job. You'll be hired on the spot. But only if he can use you in some way. Donald Trump's entire career is training people that if I do not like you, I will go out of my way to destroy you and everything you know, as we see with his political adversaries, as we saw with the ex-military generals. And if I do like you, for the time being, I will allow you to keep your position. And if you get caught in a $50,000 FBI sting operation like Tom Homan, I might just bail you out. The same way he bailed out the 1,500 people that raided the Capitol on January 6th. He's training people to behave in the way he wants them to behave. Everything he does is with purpose. He's playing a game of Monopoly that no one else seems to know they're playing, and that's exactly why he runs them down every time. Now here is Trump preparing the military leaders for war within our own country.
Ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places, and we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. The ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done.
We're going to straighten them out one by one. This is a war from within, and you are all going to play a part of that. I'm going to designate you and the people that follow you to these cities. Donald Trump has officially built a system of where everybody under him is afraid of him, and to where he's consolidated so much power that he doesn't even fear his own impeachment. We are so close to a total dictatorship, it's frightening. And I think he wants to have this all accomplished in his first year as president. And then what are we going to do? When all the news stations only say good things about Donald Trump. Every single government worker is a Republican because he just made an additional threat today that he's going to fire Democrat government employees if the government shuts down. Let's go to that video real quick.
Inch closer to a government shutdown. This morning you said you might do a lot of layoffs. If DOGE is already reducing the federal workforce, why is it necessary to link more federal jobs cut to a shutdown?
Well, the Democrats want to shut it down, and so when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats. As you know, this country, no country can afford to pay for illegal immigration, health care for everybody that comes into the country, and that's what they're insisting.
That doesn't happen at all on any spectrum. No illegal immigrant is part of any healthcare plan. It is not legal. It does not happen. It's another lie. They're lying to you. Now, on to more important matters. Project 2025 explicitly said, get rid of the experts in the government and replace them with loyalists. Well, okay, Donald Trump. Once everybody in the government is a Republican, then what? What's going to happen? Then our freedom of speech is next. Because anybody that says anything that Trump doesn't like is automatically going to be a Democrat or Antifa, which stands for anti-fascist. So if you are against anything Donald Trump does, he can label you Antifa. And we already know he plans to deport the enemies from within, in his words, the homegrown. So once he labels you a terrorist organization, do you not think he's going to try to deport you out of this country? It is going to be the same exact situation as Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. All news stations will be Donald Trump. All conversations will be hail Donald Trump. If you don't believe me, here is Trump saying something that very ominously relates to Hitler.
Let people come in from prisons, mental institutions, drug dealers, murderers. You know, we had 11,488 murders allowed into our country by this guy who had no clue. He had no clue.
Apparently 1488 is strongly related to white supremacists. 14 words, 88 equals Hail Hitler. Now, while this is all alleged, this is going to blow your mind. 14 words is a reference to the most popular white supremacist slogan in the world. We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. 88 is a white supremacist numerical code for Hail Hitler. H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, so 88 equals Hail Hitler. 88 is used throughout the entire white supremacist movement, not just neo-Nazis. This number is frequently combined with another white supremacist numeric code, 14-word slogan, we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children, in the form of 1488. And it apparently looks a little bit something like these tattoos you see right here. And if you see somebody with a 14 words tattoo, you know they're a supremacist as well. Now, Trump's words could be completely random, and it just so happened to be coincidence it aligned with that. But allegedly, the flagpoles he installed outside of the White House are 88 feet tall as well. Could be another coincidence. It's just numbers. However, with Elon being his ex-best friend and then saluting on stage, and him having historical ties to Hitler as well through his grandparents, I dropped a whole video on that. Maybe I'll re-upload it to YouTube, or maybe we'll do an even deeper dive, because it is a known historical fact that Elon's grandparents have historical ties to hailing Hitler, and his grandfather was a part of anti-Semitic organizations back in Canada. It gets deep, and in doing my research on Elon's grandparents, I did this after he saluted on stage months ago. I can confirm most of these statements. He did have the slogan, "Make Germany Great Again." That is something most people do not know. His slogan was "Make Germany Great Again." And let's not forget, during Black Lives Matter, when Donald Trump said out of his mouth, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, and called them thugs. This quote is from a Miami chief from 1967 who said this, who had a long-standing history of bigotry against the black community. He was a well-known white supremacist, and Donald Trump later apologized, saying he didn't know after he got called out on it. Trump did not apologize, he backtracked. I've heard that phrase for a long time. I don't know where it came from or where it originated. When Trump was first president, wasn't he meeting with white supremacist leaders? Didn't the KKK come out of hiding? Very, very odd behavior from the president of the United States. And we re-elected him. Now here's Trump saying he wishes he could start shooting people that are the enemy from within in America, but he says we can't because they're not in uniform.
At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly.
At least when they're wearing a uniform, they can take them out. I thought we were denouncing violence in America. What happened to the Charlie Kirk thing? It hasn't even been 3 weeks, and we're talking about shooting more Americans. The military oath is to protect the Constitution and to protect U.S. citizens. That doesn't mean to twist the words of the oath when it says to protect the country from all threats, both foreign and domestic. But that's what dictators do. Who is this enemy from within we've never heard anybody else say except for Adolf Hitler? Demoralize the enemy from within by surprise, terror, sabotage, assassination. This is the war of the future. Isn't this the exact speech Donald Trump is giving right now? And let's not forget back in 2023 where Trump doubled down on comments that immigrants were poisoning the blood of America. Now, do you know what's really weird about that? It sounds an awful lot like the guy with the terrible mustache. Jews and migrants are poisoning Aryan blood. Now, once again, I'm not making any direct accusations here. However, there sure is a lot of coincidences happening. You know, there's a saying that's what is done in the dark will come to light. You can only hide who you are for so long. And that's what we call Freudian slips. Meanwhile, here's a photo of House Democrats all in attendance for the government shutdown to try to stop it, and no Republicans. That's because their master told them not to go. Didn't he refuse to meet with Democrats over this situation? He does realize it looks worse on the president to have a government shutdown, right? Especially for the reasons provided. You can lie about it all you want, but the Democrats aren't the president of the United States right now. It's you, Donald Trump. And if you have to lie to get your way, then you know you're wrong. Now, here is Pete Hegseth telling the military to be violent and kill people while we're not at a time of war, by the way. We're not training for war. Didn't Trump end all wars and the universe is at world peace now because of Nobel Prize winner Donald Trump? Let's listen to unqualified Pete Hegseth's words.
Should our enemies choose foolishly to challenge us, they will be crushed by the violence, precision, and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, F-A-F-O.
Who is our enemies, Pete Hegseth? Because the only enemies Donald Trump keeps mentioning is the enemy from within. So who exactly are we going to crush with violence? Americans? We're seeing ICE do it in masks, and they love the anonymity. They're throwing women around. They're chasing delivery drivers on bikes. You don't believe me? Let's watch the video. Here is ICE standing here doing nothing and seeing a dark-skinned man delivering food and then chasing him for no reason. He just looks like he could be Mexican or Muslim, and they start running after, no questions, nothing, just running after a random person on a bike delivering food. Are you out of your minds? Look at the disappointment in all the military leaders' faces as Pete Hegseth was giving his speech. These gentlemen are leaders. They know what a leader sounds like. They know how a leader behaves, acts like. They know what a leader looks like, and it's not Pete Hegseth. We have a saying in the Marine Corps, respect is earned and never given. Pete Hegseth is a wannabe leader, but he holds none of the skill sets. Look at the look of disappointment on everybody's face. Now here's a video of Pete Hegseth telling them to hail Trump because we serve not the Constitution, but at the pleasure of the president every day.
My approach has been simple. When in doubt, assess the situation, follow your gut, and if it's the best for the military, make a change. We all serve at the pleasure of the president.
And he just explained exactly how we got his position. Not qualifications, but loyalty. As a matter of fact, this guy is such a poser, nobody applauds after he finishes his speech.
Move out and draw fire. Because we are the War Department. Godspeed.
Attention!
That was embarrassing. What did he say? Move out and open fire on who? We're not at war with anybody. Who are we opening fire on? Project 2025, replace the qualified professionals with unqualified loyalists. These people are going to run the country into the ground. Pete Hegseth may be able to impress MAGA with his loyalty to Trump, but many veterans see right through him, and he is no leader. He is a fraud. Here's what a major general had to say about his speech today. I speak for a lot of former general officers when I say I couldn't be prouder of our highest ranking leaders for maintaining an apolitical face under immense pressure. Yet I am saddened for our military that they have to ensure such clueless, self-aggrandizing civilian leadership at a time when American families, military families included, are struggling with exploding inflation. Pete Hegseth spent millions to find all of our generals and admirals to rant about a facial hair and brag about how many pull-ups he can do, and have Donald Trump sleepwalk through a list of partisan gripes. These are not serious people, and they are making us less secure, not more lethal. And then Pete Hegseth additionally says we need to get rid of the rules of engagement. The rules of engagement were to prevent unnecessary killing during a time of war. because it got so bad we had to create rules for it so we could have an ethical war. But these are not ethical people. We don't have ethical leaders, so we shouldn't be surprised at what he says next.
We are preparing every day. We have to be prepared for war, not for defense. We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep. War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader.
Is Trump planning to do exactly what Putin's doing to Ukraine to his enemies in the future? I would really hope not. But telling our military we're not here to defend but cause the defending doesn't sound like a very bright future for our military. As you can see, nobody's impressed. They either look amused or severely concerned. And lastly, here is Trump threatening the sovereignty of all American citizens that the government shuts down while he tries to blame the Democrats for his actions as the president of the United States.
I told you we have $17 trillion being invested, so the last person that wants it shut down is us. Now, with that being said, we can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. And you all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently because he can trim the budget to a level that you couldn't do any other way. So they're taking a risk by having a shutdown because of the shutdown, we can do things medically and other ways, including benefits. We can cut large numbers of people out. We don't want to do that, but we don't want fraud, waste, and abuse. And, we're cutting that.
This has to be the most maniacal thing I have heard any standing president in America say in my life. I don't like what these people are doing, so millions of you are going to pay the consequence. Because I will have my way and I don't compromise. The compromise, by the way, is to keep 24 million people on Obamacare, which they want to end for millions of Americans, and the ones that do remain on it will pay 75% higher out of pocket for their premiums. And if you're a MAGA and you made it to the end of this video, yet again, I would like to ask you, how many times do they have to show you they do not care about you? These people are in it for themselves, and if it doesn't negatively affect them, but it negatively affects you and can benefit them in any way, shape, or form, whether that's through influence, power, authority, they will do it every time. They don't care if you're struggling. They don't care about the economy. They care about making their pockets fatter. So how can you still follow somebody like this? And Donald Trump, release the Epstein files. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please make sure to have a great day. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time.